Hi everyone, today we're going to be painting this cute little 3-inch watercolor Monstera gift card. It is a great little painting to do when you don't have a lot of time, but you just need a moment away to get some paint on paper. I am Katherine, I am new to the Pigeon Letters design team, and I am super excited to get started. I am really excited to be sharing this little painting with you. This little 3x3 note card is a Monstera leaf, and I have kind of become obsessed with them. They are all over my classroom. These little paintings I love to do when I get home in the evenings and I don't have a lot of time to paint, so I can do 1 or 2 a night and feel like I have been able to sit and paint for a few minutes. So I can't wait to share some of my tips for making these little cards, and I hope you really enjoy this tutorial. So first thing I'm going to show you is what I use. So I have my paint palette here, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So I have watercolors for this. I use watercolor paper. This is 140-pound weight watercolor paper. It is cold pressed, so it's pretty rough. So this is for my card. I use a round number 10 brush. I use this round number 2 brush. It is one of my absolute favorite brushes. I think it's used on every single painting I do. It is great for detail. So this one I use all the time. All right, I also use a ruler. So I have a little ruler here. Pencil always, can't go without. I do have washi tape that I will use in this. And I have a craft knife. So I use that. And then I also use, which I cannot live without, is a couple of erasers. One is my white eraser, and then the other is my kneaded eraser. So all of those things I use when I'm creating this. These things are always close by on my desk no matter what. Okay. All right, so first thing, I'm going to start with my pencil, move all this out of the way, and my ruler. So this is 3 inches this way by 6 inches this way. And the first thing I'm going to do to make my card is find the center so I know where the fold will be. So I'm going to take this and this, I'm going to make a mark at 3 inches, and I'm going to lightly draw a line down. I am going to erase this line in a little bit, so I don't want to make it real dark. So there's my line. So when I fold this in half later, this will be my front, this will be my back. My fold on my cards, I have mine fold and open this way. So this is the way I fold mine. You could have it where the fold is at the top. So whatever works for you. If you want to open the other direction, because I know some countries, that's the way they open their cards, that's fine. So whatever works for you in your card. All right, so I have my fold. Then what I'm going to do is what is called scoring the card. So I'm going to draw a line with my craft knife down on top of this line. And what that does is it allows me to have that fold crease perfectly when I fold it. So some people have scoring boards. I have a scoring board, but it doesn't work real well on heavy watercolor paper. So I am just going to use my ruler and my craft knife. Now, if you have a dull blade, it actually works a little bit better than a sharp blade. And you can use other things. I have actually, in desperate times, used a kitchen knife. So those things will work too. All you're doing is drawing a crease in the paper. So I'm going to drag, and you can hear it. I'm going to drag my knife down my watercolor paper. I'm not pressing so hard that it cuts through. I'm just pressing hard enough that it indents the paper. So once I have done that, I am going to, well, actually I'm not going to erase this line. I'm going to leave that line for just a few more minutes. All right, so then what I'm actually going to do is draw my border. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you can see this a little bit better. All right, so I have this little ruler. These are my favorite rulers because you can see through them. So that helps a lot. And it has measurements all the way through. So all I have to do when I'm drawing a border is figure out which line I want to use. So for me, for this size of card, I really like 3/8 of an inch. So I can come over, find the 3/8 of an inch line, and I just line it up on, I start by lining it up on my line where my crease is. So that's why I didn't want to erase that yet so I could see it. So I'm going to draw a line down there. And I'm going to keep drawing my 3/8 of a line, 3/8 of an inch line all the way around. All right, so there's my little 3/8 of an inch border. I'm going to erase where I went over a little bit, like that, and any other marks I have on there. One of my big favorite things is to use a kneaded eraser to pick up the little pieces that I erase off. It keeps the watercolor paper from smudging. All right, so this line right here, I'm going to erase now. I don't need this line anymore. I don't want it to show on my finished card, so I erase that again. I use my kneaded eraser to pick those up. Okay, so I have my border drawn. I'm going to move my ruler and I'm going to pick up my washi tape. I love to use washi tape for my edges of my border. That keeps my lines nice and crisp and clean. You could bleed the paint right off the edge of this. It would still look amazing. But I'm going to put washi tape down because I just love those crisp, clean edges when I'm painting. So I take my washi tape and I put it on all 4 sides. And then I try to press pretty well around where the paint would go. So my paint's going to go up against these edges, so I try to press against those edges really well. All right, and now mine's going to stick to the board just a little bit. You can actually fold this over if you want so it doesn't stick. My washi tape's a little bit wide, so I'm going to fold it over so it doesn't stick to my table. All right, so next I'm going to get my pencil and I'm going to draw my leaf in there. So like I said, I love anything Monstera leaves right now. So this is my example. And I'm just drawing one real simple leaf on this, nothing fancy, just one by itself. You know, these are little cards, there's not a lot of space on them, so I'm going to keep this pretty simple. So to draw a Monstera leaf, I always start, anytime I'm drawing anything, with the shape. And the shape of a Monstera leaf really is kind of a heart shape. So I like to draw a big heart shape lightly in pencil. So start with my pencil. And I just draw a big heart shape. Thing about leaves is I love is they don't have to be perfect. It's nature, everything's a little bit different. So if it's wider, that's fine. If it's longer and narrow, that's fine. It doesn't matter. All right, so there is my heart shape. Now to turn it into the leaf, I have to put the holes in the leaf. So I have a Monstera plant in my house and it lives up to its name. It's gotten gigantic and it does not have the extra little holes in it, which you can add those if you like. Mine doesn't, so I didn't put them in my drawing. So what I do is I come in and I put these oval shapes in and down each side of that heart. So then I put another one. I like to put 3 or 4 on each side of my heart. So like that. Then I come in and I try to do the same thing to the other side. Doesn't have to be perfect. Like I said, it's nature, it's leaves. It doesn't, that's a wonderful thing is they're all different no matter what. All right, I think this one got a little long. I'm going to erase that one. I'm going to use my kneaded eraser to pick that up and just shorten it a little bit. Okay, so once I have done that, I'm going to come in here and erase all my overlaps so that those become holes in my leaf. Once I've done that, then I come in and I kind of just shape it a little bit more. And I still try to keep that kind of heart shape to it. All right, so there is my leaf shape. All right, now I do like to lighten my leaf so it doesn't show up as much. So again, kneaded eraser, one of my favorite things. And I just press down until it lightens. I don't like the pencil line to be too dark showing through my watercolor. So I'm just going to go through there and try to lighten some of those. I would probably lighten it more, but I'm afraid it won't show up for the video. So I'm going to leave it at that. So now that that's done, I'm going to set that aside and I'm going to get my paints ready to start the background. All right, so my colors that I'm using in this, I just love that coral with that green with that gold. So just a really, I think it's a pretty color combination. You can of course use whatever colors you think look good. Sometimes that purpley color looks really good in the background, whatever it is that you like. But it also allows me to have a chance to kind of use the metallic paints. I don't use them a whole lot in big paintings, so it's kind of fun to use them on cards because like I said, I just don't use them a whole lot. All right, so to get that coral color for me, I have a shell pink, I have kind of a cadmium orange, and I have over here a sienna brown. So I'm going to get those ready to mix. I'm going to mix up a coral color. All right, so I'm going to start with my shell pink. I love this color. This is about the end of it. I'm going to have to order some more. So I put my pink down. I'm going to add a little bit of orange, like that. And then I always have a scrap piece of paper. So I test my colors out and I think it's a little bit too orangey still. And it's a little bright. So I'm going to add just a little tiny bit of sienna brown to kind of dull it down a little bit. All right, so there's that sienna brown in there. I like that color, but I still wanted it a little more pink, so I'm going to come back to my pink and add a little bit more till I get that kind of light color that I want, like that. So always have a swatch paper so I can kind of test out my colors. All right, so got my color mixed up. The next step is my background. And I am going to paint some fun stripes just right across that background. And I'm going to paint right across my drawing of my leaf. So not going to hurt anything to do that. My leaf should still show through. I am using the bigger round number 10 brush for this. So all I do is I start at one side. Move this out of the way a little bit. So I start at one side and I have paint on my brush and I just drag it across, and it's a little bit thinner here, and then I let it get thicker as it comes down. I had a lot of water on that brush, so I'm going to kind of soak some of that up so it doesn't leave a funny mark. So anytime you get too much water on your brush, take a dry your brush off and just pick that water right back up and it won't leave that mark. Okay, so I went this way, I started this way, so now I'm going to start the other direction so it's a thinner line down there. And then I'm just going to keep kind of doing this almost a zebra stripe, kind of, all the way down. And each time I go, I'm going to switch sides so that one side's a little bit darker and thicker than the other side. Oh, I have a visitor. No. Sorry about that. My cat wanted to see what was going on. Okay, so I guess I just keep continuing down all the way to the bottom, alternating which side's thicker and thinner. So just a super easy background, kind of fun. I love how it's a little darker in some places, a little lighter in some places. It doesn't have to be perfect. And when I take the tape off and you see those edges, those crisp edges, it just looks really good. All right, so I need to let that dry for a minute. I don't like to use the heat gun on my watercolors when I have washi tape down, because the heat gun, if you ever can't get washi tape off, here's your trick. You heat it up and it comes right off. So, but if I want to heat this up to dry it, my washi tape will kind of peel up and it won't do very well. So a tip there, if you've got washi tape down and you want to keep it down, do not use heat. If you have washi tape down and it's ripping your paper when you're pulling it off, use a heat gun and heat it up and it'll come off a lot better and it won't rip your paper. Now that it's dry, I'm going to paint my Monstera leaf right over top of my stripes. Again, I like to use the metallic paint because I don't use them very often and they're just fun, but I do have a regular sap green over here. That one is a great green to use also. But for this, I'm going to use this metallic green. Like I said, it's just fun and I don't get to use metallic paints watercolors a whole lot. All right, so I just paint right over top of my stripes. Sometimes I'll change the shape a little bit if I don't like how big I've made those cutout holes in my leaf. I'll change it a little bit. Another thing I try to do is keep a wet edge so I don't have the funny lines left when I paint. So I kind of jump around a lot. So I try to paint this and then keep that wet up here so I don't have that line left. Like I said, leaves are not perfect, so no worries on how perfectly they are drawn or painted. These are just fun little cards. Takes the pressure off sometimes. Alright, so get in there. The other thing that's nice about the metallic paints is they go on a little bit thicker and a little more opaque than regular watercolors, so that does help when you're painting and you're wanting to cover up those stripes. And I really don't mind if they show through a little bit anyway. Just love how all those openings in these leaves are just amazing. If any of you have these plants, or even if you don't, it's fun when they get a new leaf because they grow curled up and then they uncurl and you get to see how many cutouts are in that leaf. So you don't know until they uncurl. Alright, so I think that's pretty good. Touch up any spots that look like they're just a little bit thin. But I think that looks pretty good. So a lot of times I wait until this totally dries to take off the washi tape. But since the background's dry, I'm going to go ahead and take that off. Like I said, if you have a problem taking your washi tape off, heat it up with a heat gun or some kind of heat and it'll come off a little bit easier. Another trick to washi tape, the more extreme the angle you pull it, the better it comes off. And always pull it away from your painting. So I'm tearing or pulling it off away from my painting. So got one piece. Another piece. The little cat is not happy that he can't get up here on this, so he is making all kinds of noise if you hear him in the background. All right, so that has the washi tape off. So my last step that I like to do on these is to give a little bit of some gold accent. So I like to paint a little bit of a gold edge around this. If you are more comfortable with a gel pen or a paint pen, they look great too. I like to just paint. It's just, I have more control. So I like to take my gold paint and just paint around the edge of it. So this one right here, this is the gold color. It's a pretty standard gold color that I like to use on this one. So, and then all I'm going to do is take this, let's see if I can do that, and then just draw a line right around where the pencil was, or is, because you can still see it. And again, I'm using that favorite number 2 round brush. And like I said, I use it, I think, every single painting I do, I use it on. All right, 2 sides. Three sides, and then my last side. Now try to keep the paint on this thick so that gold just really shines through. All right, so there's my leaf with my paint, gold paint, that is. Now, I have some, like I said, there's all kinds of ideas you can do for this. You can come in and outline with a black marker or a gold marker or anything else. I'm going to leave mine at this point. It's just a cute little card, doesn't take very long to do. The very last step now is to fold it in half. So that score line that you did, when you fold it, you should need to make sure you're folding it on that line. So as I fold this, See how you can see how it starts to crease perfectly. So like I said, that's why I love doing little cards and scoring little cards. So I'm going to bend that right there, and then that gives you that perfect little crease so that when you fold it, it lines up perfectly, it folds a lot easier. So that's kind of why I always do a score line. You can always do it after. I like to do it before because I'm always afraid I'm going to drag my ruler through my paint and smudge. So that's why I score before I paint. And then it folds just like a card you would buy at a store. So there is that little card. And then I have little envelopes. They're just little 3 1/4 inch envelopes that I pick up. I usually get these online. And then I have that envelope that goes perfectly with that card. So I also have a couple others that I've done. This one I did with polka dots in the background. So you can change any kind of background, any kind of leaf. And as long as you keep your set with the same colors, then you start to look like you have an entire collection. So sometimes if I have enough of these, I'll have 4 or 5 of these and throw them in a set and sell them. So and they make a cute little set. So you can change all the backgrounds, all different things. So there's a few different ones that I have that I've done. So makes a cute little set, wonderful little gifts. If you paint this, even if it looks like this or if it looks different, I would absolutely love to see it. Tag me in it and I will share it to my stories, and I just absolutely love seeing what other people paint. It is one of the best ways to get ideas, is to see, hey, I got this idea from this person and that gave me an idea for something else. So share so we can see what's out there and get more ideas from each other. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and like I said, let me see what your creations look like.